Hey guys, we're back. We have another episode. This time we're gonna review. This isn't like Judge Napolitano, where I think Judge Napolitano is either anti-Israel or maybe anti-Semitic. Not too sure. He certainly has a strong feeling about Jews in Israel that I disagree with. But Piers Morgan, I would say, is a little. Some people that are pro-Israel are going to disagree with me, but I think he's a little bit more objective, and he certainly gets his facts wrong. And there's a lot to fix about what his narratives are, but certainly he's. If Judge Napolitano is the Atlanta airport of anti-Israel influencers, Piers Morgan is the circus. He's the circus. He's organizing the circus of anti-Israel versus pro-Israel. I mean, he's had all types of pro-Israel people on that I agree a lot with. Um, but in general, I wouldn't consider him part of the anti-Israel sort of cabal of influencers that are paid by Russia and paid by Qatar and Turkey and etc. and all share this same kind of narrative of anti-Israel, anti-imperialism, meaning anti-American, and anti-Zionism, anti-Jew, all that stuff, all the good stuff. So we're gonna watch. Piers Morgan had basically one of his circus rings and ringleader, right? I think that's the what you would call somebody that is like the whip in the middle of the circus. Anyways, he had a show that basically had Wesley Clark on, and what's interesting is Wesley Clark. A lot of the anti-Israel, anti-imperial, anti-neocon. There's a lot of this. There's names for them, but they all have this same kind of narrative of how America works, that it's controlled by Israel, and etc. So they always use this as an example from General Wesley Clark. Let me say the general part. He supposedly in 2001, after 9/11, saw that there was some kind of document, but he's even said in the past that he didn't see the document. He heard someone explain the document, etc. And that there was 7 countries in 5 years. So the concept was they were going to, even Afghanistan's not even on this list. But the idea was they were going to topple all these regimes after 9/11. You know, the Defense Department, the Department of War now, has lots of plans for all kinds of different contingencies. So, etc. So they thought it was a pretext for war for Iraq. And of course, because you have Donald Rumsfeld, who's not a Jew, but you have Paul Wolfowitz, who is Jewish, there is a Jewish conspiracy behind all of this that Israel controlled everything. And we'll watch Wesley Clark first, and afterwards, Cenk Uygur from the Young Turks, who is somebody who is an anti-Israel influencer, who also Dave Smith is going to be on this with Piers Morgan, and you will see Wesley Clark is going to be objective, like he actually is. I sort of like him, and he explains what he meant by that comment from back in the day, and he's going to explain, and you're going to see him he's going to explain why Iran needs to be attacked and what he meant by this, and that if this really happened, and Sank and Dave are going to lose their minds, especially Sank, which he usually does all the time. So let's watch it and have a good laugh and crash out together, because this one's going to be funny.
And finally, before we go to the panel, and you're going to stay with the panel, and thank you for that. There are several members of the panel who believe this is all being done purely at the behest of Israel. That it's not in America's national interest to be doing this, and that Netanyahu has railroaded Trump into potentially attacking Iran. Do you think there's merit to that argument?
Well, not as much merit as you might think. The United States has continuously said that we're against the proliferation of nuclear weapons. And Iran has really, since the days of the Shah, had a nuclear program, and the Khomeini regime kept it going. There was a fake in 2007. They fooled American intelligence into issuing an estimate that said they had stopped it, but I don't think they stopped it. And so we know now they're very close to getting the materials to use a nuclear weapon. That's destabilizing the whole world, and especially the Middle East. So it's not just us, it's our friends and allies in the region that don't want it. And the Iranians themselves are working on longer and longer range missiles. So we don't need another hostile state that has sworn its purpose is to destroy another state to have nuclear weapons. It's not just about Israel, it's about global stability.
Okay, let's go back to the panel. Cenk Uygur, I mean, there's your answer from a
Here
former
we go.
commander.
And you already can see him shaking his head. It's hilarious. It's gonna get worse. But he's gonna start going after Wesley Clark, and because they built the entire narrative is built that Israel controls the U.S. and therefore this is one of their biggest pieces of evidence that this is what's going on. Is Wesley Clark's point of view that was, that there was this early plan and that Bibi was pushing it and all of this rubbish, just absolute rubbish.
Of NATO forces, which is it's not just about Israel wanting this to happen. It is in America's strategic interest to prevent Iran developing nuclear weapons.
Let me move my camera here.
Nonsense. So, I mean, I really respect General Clark. I don't know what's happened to him. That letter was very clear. They did.
Let's go back because he says, I don't know what happened to him.
To prevent Iran developing nuclear weapons.
Nonsense. So, I mean, I really respect General Clark. I don't know what's happened to him. That letter was very clear. They did, the neocons and Israel First did execute it. They have knocked out 6 to 7 of those countries, just like they said they would.
I just want to point out, look at Goldie laughing at Cenk the entire time.
They've gone to Iran at the end, just like they said they would. If we're talking about a country that is destabilizing the region and the world with endless wars, that country is Israel. I mean, look, this whole thing is...
We didn't get attacked on October 7th, and that's what started all of this. We were doing West Bank operations, normal things, hunting down terrorists, etc. And the reality is, October 7th, I think one of the reasons is because Israel was fighting over the reform of the judiciary, and Hamas saw that as an opportunity. Look, Israel is weak within itself, and they didn't understand Israel.
It's topsy-turvy. The whole framing of the discussion is ludicrous. Israel has attacked 7 of its neighbors, not Iran. Israel forced us into the Iraq war, and they said it would be easy, and it was a disaster. They said they were doing it for the Iranian people, and then we wound up killing hundreds of thousands of Iraqis. We lost thousands of our own men. The fake weapons of mass destruction evidence came from where? It came from Israel. They pushed us into the war with Libya.
I'd like to just say that there's another thing that they pushed, that the Iraq war killed 1 million Arabs or Iraqis. A lot of that was sectarian warfare. So once again, the Arabs can't take responsibility, or they're not. Iraqis are not even Arab; they're Mesopotamian, and they can't even take fault at what happened. Like the actual responsibility. Yeah, the Americans toppled. They shouldn't have disbanded the Ba'ath Party. There were mistakes made, but in the end of the day, the people came out and looted. The people came out and fought their neighbors, the Sunnis versus Shiites versus Kurds. They came out and did that. The Iranians helped with giving Shiites the shape chargers, and Al-Qaeda as well, the shape chargers to be able to kill American soldiers. So that's why I'm not saying Americans didn't kill, but they didn't line people up against a wall and shoot them. A lot of that million has to do with their sectarian violence that they have. Just like, for instance, in Syria, 500,000 died. Americans didn't shoot a bullet in that war.
Libya, Now there's modern day slavery back in Libya. Every
Here's-
war they
here's
have
where I
pushed us
just say
into
a couple
has
things
cost
to
us
this,
trillions.
I've
Hold on,
heard the
General
panel
Clark. Hold on.
previously.
They have cost us
Not just-
trillions of
excuse me,
dollars.
excuse me.
And you
You
know
said
that. And they have
nonsense.
cost us blood
said
and
nonsense.
treasure.
When you
And it's
say
Israel doing it,
nonsense,
General Clark.
I'm
Be a
gonna come right
patriot.
back
Be a
at you. I'm
patriot.
not gonna
Stand
let
up for
you say
America,
what
not
I
for
say.
Israel.
Nonsense.
I'm not going to go to
Here's-
another war for Israel.
let's get
We're not
this,
going to spend
under
trillions
control,
more for
okay?
Israel. We're not
Cenk,
going to lose
Cenk,
American
calm
soldiers for
down.
Israel.
Cenk,
The
Cenk,
Israelis have
Cenk,
bought 94% of Congress. The Israelis have bought Donald
Cenk.
Trump. And this is
Oh,
a
hang on.
fact. And
This is what we mean by crashing out. Cenk is right now what the young people call crashing out. And Wesley Clark is keeping his composure. We're going to see in a bit he loses it a little bit because Cenk is such a child.
you
Hang
guys
on.
keep obfuscating
All
these
right, hang on.
facts.
Can we have some respect for the general,
Even Goldie's amazed by this. She's like, wow, wow.
please? I think doesn't deserve to be screamed
No,
at.
he's
General
interrupting
Clark,
me.
you
He
want
should
to
have
respond?
respect for the American people, 85% of whom do not want to go. General Clark, why are you pushing us into this war when 85% of Americans don't want it? And you yourself know that the neocons have wanted this war for 20 years. Our interest? What interest? We said nuclear, and then we got rid of their nuclear
I'd like a
facilities.
chance to
Then now all of a
respond
sudden
without-
ballistic missiles. General Clark, tell me with a straight face that we have
Why
a
don't
right
you
to demand
stop
that any
talking and
country
I
end their
will
ballistic
respond.
missile program.
I love that. I love the. We have to watch it again. Wesley Clark crashes out on Cenk because Cenk's just such a pain in the ass.
You yourself know that the neocons have wanted this war for 20 years. Our interest? What interest? We said nuclear, and then we got rid of their nuclear
I'd like a
facilities.
chance to
Then now all of a
respond
sudden
without-
ballistic missiles. General Clark, tell me with a straight face that we have
Why
a
don't
right
you
to demand that
stop
any
talking and
country
I
end their
will
ballistic
respond.
missile program.
Why don't
General
you
Clark.
stop
Ballistic
talking?
missiles, we'd have to get rid of the
Someone
whole
else
world
can
for Israel if we're going to
Let
get rid
him
of ballistic
speak,
missiles.
Cenk.
Show a little
Let him
bit
respond.
of courtesy to other people. Now,
General Clark.
you want to hear what I say? Listen, first of all, there is no they there. We've been through the Bush administration.
I'm sorry, but I like what he said. There is no they there. And what he means by that is that there's no Jews behind, there's no Israel behind everything. That there was a plan. Sure, there was a plan. There were many plans. There's been many plans in the War Department for many years. All the time, they're looking at stuff. I'm sure they have war plans for North Korea. Or, for instance, I hope that they have it for China and Taiwan. And multiple different plans. And Wesley Clark is going to explain it, but it's beautiful. There is no they there. There's no they there. We're not controlling anything. Sure, we have an opinion. Sure, we push our opinion, just like every other country pushes their opinion. But and America and Jewish Americans and Jews in American history itself have a major part in American history. So yes, we are. I'm a proud American. I live in Israel. I'm a proud American. I have no problem with America. I didn't leave America like my ancestors left America and my ancestors left Europe under the pogroms or anything like that. America was a wonderful country to me and to my family, and I'm proud to be an American. Cenk might not be, and I don't know about Dave Smith.
Administration, there were neocons. We've been through the Obama.
Let's go back a little bit.
Courtesy to other people.
Let's get the full answer.
We have
Why
a
don't
right
you
to demand
stop
that any
talking and
country
I
end their
will
ballistic
respond.
missile program.
So good.
Why don't
General
you
Clark.
stop
Ballistic
talking?
missiles, we'd have to get rid of the
Someone
whole
else
world
can.
for Israel if we're going to
Let
get rid
him
of ballistic
speak,
missiles.
Cenk.
Show a little
Let him
bit
respond.
of courtesy to other people. Now,
General Clark.
you want to hear what I say? Listen, first of all, there is no they there. We've been through the Bush administration. There were neocons. We've been through the Obama administration. There were no neocons there. We've been through the Trump administration. He didn't want a war. We've been through the Biden administration. Now we're another Trump administration. When you say they, there's no they there. There's no secret plot behind
The
this.
Israeli lobby is the number one donor to every
Let
single
me
person you
finish.
mentioned. Biden,
Dude,
Trump,
let me
Let me
every one of them.
finish.
The Israeli lobby has been here the whole
It's
time, General
really hard to be on a
Clark. Wakey,
program when I
wakey.
don't get a chance to talk. I
Cenk,
don't know who
Cenk,
this
please
is.
let General Clark
He's
finish
not
his
showing
point.
me common courtesy.
I don't know if you heard it. Wesley Clark just said, I don't know who this man is.
To every single person you
finish.
mentioned. Biden,
Dude,
Trump,
let me
every
finish.
one of them. The Israeli lobby has been here the whole time,
It's
General
really hard to be on a
Clark. Wakey,
program when I
wakey.
don't get a chance to talk. I don't know who this
Cenk, please
man is.
let General Clark
He's
finish
not
his
showing
point.
me common courtesy. Now just
I
be quiet
agree.
and listen.
I agree.
I've
Cenk,
got a chance to
let
say
the
something.
general
I'm going to
respond.
say it, and I'm going to say it not just.
And I will say that Cenk shows no respect for a general, someone who served in the American army. If he has this pride in America, and respect the general, please.
Just to you, but to all the other panelists. So there's no they there. This is about national interests. And you can go through these states one by one. First of all, I was against the invasion of Iraq. I knew it was a mistake and it wasn't going to work out well. I was against it. But it's the men and women in uniform. Of course, you're not against your own soldiers fighting. You want them to succeed. But the mission was a bad mission, and I called it for that. Syria, there was a revolution there. President Obama said Bashar Assad shouldn't stay in charge. But unfortunately, he did until Turkey got rid of him. On Libya, I warned the United States not to intervene because there was no follow-on for that, and we've still got a mess in Libya. We've never been able to come to terms with Darfur, Sudan, and what's happening in the center of Africa. Now, when you turn to Iran, Iran has been a continuous problem for the United States. They killed hundreds of our soldiers with the explosively formed penetrators when we were in Iraq. They started this thing back in the late 1970s, early 80s. They assassinated a bunch of Iranian generals because they'd been to school in the United States. So what's their beef with the United States? They want trouble from the United States. That's their raison d'etre. That's what keeps the, well, you can shake your head, but I'm telling you, look at the propaganda.
And Wesley Clark is 100% true. Like everything he just went down like it's not in this plan that I showed you before, that it was America that was going to invade Sudan and Iran and Syria and Lebanon and everywhere else, and then they were going to do this 7 countries in 5 years. What Wesley Clark is explaining is that clearly these are just national geopolitics that happen. Yeah, America's involved. America's involved because they're one of the biggest, they are the superpower of the world. So yeah, they're involved. But is it not their own populations that did the civil war in Syria? Was it not their own population that did it in Libya? And we all saw the video of what happened to Gaddafi. That wasn't Americans. Americans supported it. In Libya, it was actually Europe that mainly supported it. And, you know, these are the politics move on. They're stuck. Dave Smith and Cenk are stuck in 2001 and believing all these conspiracy theories, and it's just, once again, it's rubbish.
So is Israel concerned? Of course Israel should be concerned. As the Ayatollah has said and others, when they get nuclear weapons, they're going to use them. Now, I've been all through the Gulf leadership. Maybe you've talked to those leaders too, but I have, and they don't want Iran to have a nuclear weapon. They can't do much about it, but they hope that we will. And unfortunately, the agreement that we thought we solved it with in 2015 was thrown out in 2018. And I agree that that agreement wasn't a great agreement. It didn't stop their ballistic missiles.
Nope.
And it didn't stop their axis of resistance. It didn't deal with Hezbollah, but it was an agreement. Now we don't have anything. And so we're on the precipice of another set of military strikes in the region. Is that a good thing? No, it's not a good thing. It'd be a lot better if Iran would simply become a normal state, engage in trade.
Think about that.
Its neighbors, stop trying to take over the region, stop threatening Israel. But Iran doesn't seem, under its present regime.
Cenk is falling apart. He's exploding. He's imploding from the inside.
To want to do that. So that's where we're headed. Thank you, Piers.
Please, can I just
Okay,
respond to
I love the thank you, Piers, at the end of it. I did my monologue. Thank you, Pierce.
One thing that
Let me
General Clark
wait one
said that's
second.
just not
I will
true.
come to
Our allies do not want
everybody,
this war.
but I want to get Dave Smith's response to that. Dave Smith.
Okay, well, I mean, if the general who is on the record, not just on that Amy Goodman interview, but here on this show, Pierce, who said the plans went back a decade before that, and that they were resurrected in a study paid for by the Israelis. If he's walking away from that,
I'd love to see the evidence for this. I'm guessing Dave Smith he likes the evidence, so my guess is there's a little bit of evidence for this. But once again, it's in our national interest. Why wouldn't Israel push for this? Why wouldn't we? Why wouldn't we push for this? But once again, what Wesley Clark is explaining is the plan it had no fruition. The reason why these countries are falling apart are because the sectarian bullshit that's inside of them. You know, Sykes-Picot drew lines on a napkin, and all of a sudden we have Syria, Lebanon, Iraq, Jordan. Egypt was a general country already before. But in general, these are all just lines on a piece of paper that mean nothing. And the entire Arab world has been attacking itself based on I'm Coptic Egyptian, I'm Muslim Egyptian, I'm Druze, I'm Alawite Syrian, I'm Sunni Syrian, I'm Kurdish. They cannot stop themselves. And even when it gets even deeper, there's Sunnis that don't like Sunnis and families that don't like families. If anybody's watched Lawrence of Arabia, you can see this in the Damascus scene. This is the reason why they could never take over Israel. 18 million Jews in the world, not even in Israel, are fighting back. And it's not even 18 million, it's 15 million. I don't know why I'm giving ourselves more. But they're fighting back billions of Muslims that are the Ummah. And they can't get their shit together because they kill each other on a factory level.
or saying, well, yeah, that happened, but there were 4 different administrations in there, so there's no they there. Well, as Cenk was pointing out there, Benjamin Netanyahu's been here pretty much the entire time. The Israel lobby's been here pretty much the entire time. And you certainly have to admit, sir, it's an awfully big coincidence that you saw that there was a plan to overthrow 7 countries. And that since that time, now obviously none of us are arguing it didn't happen the way you said it was going to. It's supposed to happen in 5 years, and obviously the war in Iraq ended up being a quagmire that was unforeseen by most of the military establishment at the time. But Israel and/or the United States of America have attacked all of those countries, maybe minus Sudan, which kind of collapsed without those attacks. That would seem to be a huge coincidence there, and it seems much more likely.
All these countries fell. Libya fell because of the Arab Spring. Lebanon's been Lebanon. Syria fell because of the Arab Spring. They were indigenous, they love using this word, indigenous people that were living in the country, were protesting their government. And of course, why wouldn't America or Israel seize on this opportunity to push for democracy in the Arab world? Once again, the Arab world. Lebanon and Syrians are Syrians, and the Lebanon and Jordan is the Levant. I live in the Levant. It's ridiculous.
That those entrenched interests that were pushing for that continued to push for that over all of these years, especially when the fact is that we can look at who's been advocating for all of these policies over the years, and it's been Benjamin Netanyahu and the Israel Firsters and the Israel Lobby and all of them. I think it's
and Europe and Saudi Arabia and I mean, everybody has a list of people. I'm sure people have been pushing this the entire time. UAE. Israel's the only one pushing for this. Neocons. Donald Rumsfeld's not even a Jew. Oil, Halliburton. There's many really reasons we went into Iraq and why we wanted to go into the Middle East in general.
It's kind of crazy to expect us to somehow get them out of any responsibility for this. And in terms of, Pierce, just last summer, I was on this show. We were having a bunch of arguments. Everybody back then said it was about the 60% enriched uranium, that I was crazy for claiming that this was about a regime change operation. And here we are a few months later. President Trump has boasted that he obliterated their nuclear program, that it's no issue, and yet we still need to go back to war with Iran once again. The fact of the matter is that the impetus for the global war on terrorism to begin with was our beef with radical Sunni terrorist groups. There's no reason for the United States of America to be.
I would like to just add it. It's not just about Sunni radical Islam. There's Shiite radical Islam. There's Kurdish radical Islam. There's Afghani, Pashtun radical Islam. There's Pakistani radical Islam. There's Chinese radical Islam with the Uyghurs who share the name with Cenk. There are many, many different kinds of radical Islam. There's not just Sunni. But anyways, it's an issue with Islam versus the West. That's the truth of it. And Islam hasn't reformed itself like Christianity did, like Judaism did. After the Babylonian exile, Judaism was kind of created. After the Protestant Reformation, a new form of Christianity was created. Islam has not had this moment that they need to reform themselves. And hopefully one day it'll come.
At war with the Shiites, and you can mention, by the way, I don't think the general is correct in saying that Iran was responsible for killing that many soldiers in Iraq. I think they were Iraqi Shiites, and I think most of those roadside bombs were made in Iraq. My friend Scott Horton has demonstrated this in his great book, Enough Already. But
it doesn't matter if the penetrators, the bombs, the IEDs that Soleimani even himself said he was happy to have helped create. The reason why they were able to kill so many soldiers because they were a different kind of IED, and this technology was given to the Iraqis from the Iranians. It's not the Iranians were building these bombs in Iran and bringing them to Iraq. They were training people in Iraq to build these bombs. That's what happened.
Bottom line is just that we are $38 trillion in debt. Well, one second, General, and I won't interrupt you at all. Let me just finish my point. And I don't think that's true, but regardless, yeah, okay. Anyway, okay, listen. I said 38. Is it 39 or 40? I can't keep track anymore. We're close to $40 trillion in debt. We have major problems in our own country, including a drug overdose epidemic, a homelessness epidemic. We have we have tens of millions of people who are in our country illegally, and yet we're flirting with what is obviously, definitionally, a war of choice, a war of aggression. We're not responding to an attack from Iran, and to move all these goalposts. Oh, they support proxies in the region. They have intercontinental ballistic missiles. Yeah, in other words, they're a government. Yes, in other words, they haven't just completely.
They're a government that wishes the death of America.
The other day, that Trump was curious why they haven't capitulated. In other words, they haven't completely capitulated to us and said they're going to make themselves entirely defenseless.
And they should.
The Israelis who attack them.
The Israelis were attacked.
This is ridiculous. We have no need to fight this war. We're flirting with another catastrophe for no reason.
Okay, let me bring in the two ladies who've been waiting very patiently. Alec, I'll come to you one moment. But
I love the two ladies, Goldie and I forget who, but I recognize her. No offense. I'm sure she doesn't know my name. And I just wanted to watch that crash out between Dave Smith, of course, doesn't really crash out. He has more of a different perspective. I actually kind of respect Dave Smith a little bit. But I disagree with him. And his narrative is, of course, skewed. But just wanted to show you guys that. And I hope you guys had fun crashing out with that because since on this channel I haven't had anybody on the other side crash out, but Cenk is always perfect for crashing out. He crashes out beautifully all the time, and it was nice to see Wesley Clark stand up for himself and tell Cenk to shut up. But we'll see. I'll see you on the next crash out. And just remember to like and subscribe and comment. Either way, I'm happy to open a conversation with anybody that's interested in talking about this. And just thank you guys for being here with me and watching this. And I thought it was just really interesting to just watch Cenk, because Wesley Clark basically turned to the light side. They had been using this man as a bulwark against Israel, saying Israel did this. There's been this great plan for Dave Smith said already before 10 years, so before 2001. They've been doing this since 1991. Israel, of course. Why wouldn't we we've probably since 1970 and before been pushing for a freer Lebanon and for a freer Syria and for a freer Jordan and for a freer Iraq? Why wouldn't we? Why wouldn't we want to live in safety and not have these people try to kill us on the daily? Okay, so I hope you guys agree with me. If you don't, leave a comment and like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.